Hey everybody, and welcome to Astrology. We are coming up to the new moon in Aries, coming up in a few days. And I'm quickly going to run through this, what's coming up in this new moon. And I'm just been really busy lately, so I'm just doing this in between my clinical patients because I just want to get the word out about the Martian energy, the Aries energy, which is pretty strong because we've got a lot of planets in Aries this month, as probably a lot of people do know, and it's going to be a very interesting month. And a great time, actually, I personally think, because Aries energy to me is young, it's fresh, it can be brash, it can be competitive. It likes to battle. It rules the spirit of entrepreneurship. Initiating, it's cardinal fire, so starting anything new is really important in this time. Initiating a new project, being enthusiastic, working the body, working the physical body, excuse me, and really getting on top of the body, actually. I think it's really important. Because it rules kind of athleticism, right? Because of the strong Martian energy. And Mars loves to be sitting in this sign. And of course, because it's in rulership in this sign. And so I think it's going to be a fruitful time. It's going to be a pretty erratic time. So it's good to keep the temper under control. Be patient with the self, because patience is a difficult thing if you've got a lot of Aryan energy in your planetary astrology chart. Now, obviously new moons are all about intention, so you want to focus your intentions wherever the new moon is, and Mars is going to be pretty much in the same house because the moon's in Aries as well as Mars. So, and there's a lot of planets going on in there, which I'll talk about in a sec. But I personally love the Martian energy, the Mars energy. I think it's really good. It represents the spirit, or the true spirit of independence, and the masculine principle, which is on a subversive level getting eradicated out of our culture. So, this is a very interesting time we're in. But Aries needs action, right? It's a very proactive sign. So when planets ingress into this sign, right, we need to be willing to take risks and be valiant. Now, under this new moon, right, we have some interesting energies going on from a Chinese astrological point of view as well at the same time this month, because this month is actually what they call a Phi Kong month, which is a commanding pillar. Not many people are familiar with Chinese astrology. They're familiar with the years, but the months change too, the stems and branch combinations. So I always pay attention to this because this is important. But I think it's interesting at this time because it's a commanding pillar month, and the Phi Kong is a commanding pillar. It's one of those. There's 6 pillars of those out of 60, which the ancient Chinese used to use to make someone a leader, particularly if they're born on this day, right? But when it comes up in the month alongside with this, the Aries energy, it's a very good time to really take charge, have courage, and initiate and take action with something that you've been pursuing, right? It's a very strong pillar combination in combination with the Aries element. So, and Aries is a very independent energy, and I think it's connected to what they call the virtue of selfishness, or the virtue of selfhood, which we talk about in philosophical terms as well as Taoist terms when they talk about selfhood, which resides in the heart. And of course, the Martian principle rules the blood, alongside with the heart as well in medical astrology. But this kind of energy is going to be really strong. And I think at the moment, and I think if people are pretty wired or feeling really wired, then they really need to get into the physical body, which this energy really needs. So the martial exercise is really, really important. For those really feeling out of balance, then of course, and your nervous system is really wired and finding it difficult to calm down, then of course potassium phosphate is a very good mineral to take. The Kali phos for supporting that sun in Aries, moon in Aries, and all the planets in Aries actually, because you know this cell soul is ruled by the sign of Aries. Another thing to consider at this time, and of course on the collective level, we've got Neptune that's ingressed into Aries at this point in time, which rules the collective. So those outer planets, Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto, rule the collective, and I think Neptune, particularly ingressing into this sign, is going to really bring the collective into taking them out of the womb metaphor of Pisces, feeling comfortable and nice and warm and fluffy, into the Aryan principle, which is going to be more on the level of, well, okay, I'm not as sleepy now. I'm kind of getting aroused. I really want to initiate, take charge of my life, and do things on my own terms, instead of looking for the approval from the crowd or some low-level bureaucrat in government trying to tell you how to live and what to do. And I think this is long overdue, this kind of energy coming in. And obviously there's wars going on, right, this year. I mean, it's an interesting time, particularly Uranus has ingressed back into Gemini, which obviously back in the day, 84 years ago, around the Second World War, is when that Uranus was in that sign, and now it's ingressed back. But all this Aryan energy obviously has triggered the war, and it would have been triggered from one of the solar eclipses. I think it was a few years ago, 23. The Sun in Aries would have initiated this as well. So a lot of astrologers knew this was on the cards, and so I think this new moons are always about setting intentions, and obviously those who know their charts really pay attention to where it sits. But also this new moon is connected to the third decan of Aries, which is the Four of Aries, which is connected to the Four of Wands in the tarot cards, right? Because we've got to remember the tarot is the feminine, astrology is the masculine, and the astrological decans can give us a lot of clues to how this energy can play out as well. And the frequency of this card is Venus, right? So Venus in Aries, the potential is the four, which connects to stability and structure. So this represents a strong sense of justice, a desire for order and harmony, and a deep desire for happiness. So there can be the conflict, right, between impulse for disciplined activity and production, and the laziness that obviously is inherent in the Venus frequency as well. Venus can make us a little bit lazy, but Mars will make us more wanting to move. So this kind of Venus frequency connected to this card is stimulated by the fire quality, which can give us, which can help us control ourselves or control the Martian principle a little bit, so it's not going to be as fiery. But I'd say under this new moon, in connection with this card, make sure you use good judgment, discrimination, and self-reliance, which Aries demands, right? So don't be so impulsive. Venus is in exile in the sign of Aries, which can lead to a lack of self-confidence, leading to inferior complexes, right? And Venus connects to how we value ourselves and our self-esteem. If it has been an issue at the time, this new moon's really good at setting intentions for leveling up on this level, and our self-confidence is really important. And especially with the Venus energy being in this commanding pillar month, if we've had issues with our self-esteem, then now's the time to really take charge. And I think it's really important on this our life is so sedentary now that we're just really, most people just don't really get into their bodies now. So it's really important time with this Aries energy to be able to do that. So there's a lot of volatile kind of energy, going on in the collective at the moment. And obviously Aries and Mars rule violence. And violence is I guess in our culture now it's we see it play out in the world, but most people are quite submissive. But there's a very good book which I encourage people to read, actually, which is a really important book when it comes to understanding violence. It's called, it was by Tim Larkin. It's called When Violence is the Answer. And there's actually times when we need it and times when we obviously don't. So it's a really important book, and I think I'm getting pretty masculine as I'm talking about this, because I think the martial principle, the martial arts and things like this are very good to understand when it comes to this, because I think we can't be so docile on this level. I think a lot of people really need to learn how to handle themselves, and I think understanding this moon and this Aries energy is going to arouse people to want to learn defense and how to take care of themselves, which is actually a virtue, So I've digressed a little bit. I thought I'd throw this in. Okay, so another important thing to do, I'll read the Sabian symbol, which reads at 28 degrees Aries, which the literal meaning is, or the meaning is a large disappointed audience. And the theme is nothing lasts forever, right? And I like the Sabian symbols, like I mentioned before, because they're very cryptic and it gives us something to mull over, and connect with the ancestral mind a little bit, as opposed to just trying to intellectualize things. So, and that's what I love about astrology and tarot and things like this. We can, and same with actually Chinese medicine when I practice, right? Because you can be very intellectual, but then again, you have to let go of it too, particularly when you're reading pulses, right? You have to rely on the intuitive function and feeling. So we need that balance between the two. And anyway, so this symbol speaks to the disillusionment that can occur when too great a dependence is placed on things external to the self. So, and this is what Aries encourages, right? To rely on the self. Don't rely on help from anyone else, right? The image of a large disappointed audience alludes to an expectation that wasn't met, as when something is being enjoyed ends prematurely, or when something that is anticipated or expected to occur fails to materialize. Thus, this symbol also speaks to the unpredictabilities of life and changes in taste or preference. So this is the one of the images that Mark Jones described as reverse symbolism. Now, Mark Jones wrote the original Sabian symbol book, but I'm using a different author at this time, so they're making a reference to this. The guy, I'm pretty sure that's the case. Anyway, as reverse symbolism, or as carrying a negative connotation, and he commanded that on the danger of an individual becoming disillusioned as a result of making the momentary mood of the masses any proper guide for the values he should pursue, right? So in other words, don't use the herd think, group think, collective think to determine what your values are. They should only come from within, from living an authentic life, right? And going through the trials and tribulations and cycles that we all go through astrologically that mold and create our own character, and then we view the world through our own lens and come to our own conclusions about how things really operate within ourselves, which I think is really important. So I'd say in modern times, this degree emphasizes being true to self, which is critical at this new moon. So I think it's important for people to set intentions to be true to the self. On the positive, this symbol represents the courage to do what is best for the self and resist emotional appeals and pressures from others. And pressure from others. On the negative, self-annihilation through pessimistic thinking and false perceptions of rejection. So the accent is on the shift in attitudes and values. What worked yesterday may not hold up well today. So the opportunity lies on being self-reliant and pleasing yourself. Think independently and objectively. The risk is guard against letting criticism, disapproval, or opinions of others get you down or stop you from doing what you know is right for you. Avoid self-pity and negative thinking. And I think, the Aries energy is very young, it's very vibrant, it's very bright, and it can be immature, right? Because it's what the first sign of the zodiac. And a lot of Aryan energy can operate like that. But there's a fiery passion that which is really amazing to see, and I think that can be very inspirational. And I think at this time it's really good to tap into it, feel inspired, and create as best as you can, because this is the spring, the cardinal fire energy. It's initiating, and it's all about growth, right? Of course, I'm in the southern hemisphere, so it's a bit different. But all the astrological and religious concepts, if you've studied astrotheology and all this kind of thing, and all the metaphors and all these kind of things around this, all started actually in the northern hemisphere. So as this new moon, aspects to this new moon, conjunction with Chiron, the planet Mars is important, obviously, so we need to pay attention to where Mars is, because Mars is rules the new moon, so we need to know what house is it in. But it's in the vicinity of the new moon, so it's going to be in the house the new moon's in, because Mars is in Aries and the new moon. And for those who don't know about new moons are when the sun and moon are in conjunction with each other. So the sun's going to be in Aries too, obviously, at this time. Mars is in conjunction to Saturn at this time, at this new moon, as well as Mercury. And these can be frustrating aspects, actually, particularly the Saturn-Mars one. Because Mars is like the accelerator and Saturn's the brake. So a lot of people want to really move and get ahead and be, wanting to take action and really go for it. And then there's part of themselves that Saturn's going, it hits the brakes for you. It wants to delay things, or you've got a really good idea, but you hold yourself back because that Saturn energy is kind of constricting and holding and harnessing that Aryan force, right? That Martian force. And clearly, obviously Mars is in conjunction with Mercury as well, which can, there can be a lot of fiery tongues. You got to watch your words. Words can come out pretty sharp. And of course, and Neptune's obviously in conjunction with Mercury as well. It's got a lot of Aries, a lot of planets in these. So it's a very interesting time. There's a lot of action in all those houses where things are placed. So if everyone pays attention, it'll be good. Keep tabs on where things are shifting in your charts is really, really important. So on that note, I can quickly go through the 12 signs of the zodiac. And of course, we'll go through the rising signs, 12 rising signs. So Aries rising will have this new moon in the first house. So this is a time to start something new that defines you. So the first house is always about you. And with the Martian energy, the Mars energy in this house, your motivation is going to be really strong. You got to watch for being impatient with yourself and others at this time, as the planet Saturn's in conjunction with Mars. So this can be really frustrating. But I also think with Mars going on in this house, Mars and Saturn, particularly Saturn, you can start really taking life pretty seriously when Saturn's in this house as well. But I think it's a time for making any body image changes or anything you want to make you do physical appearance. Now's the time to do it if you want to set intentions or really working on your physique and things like this. And the Mars is motivation and Saturn is discipline. So it's a good time to get serious about how you see yourself on a physical level and how you want to present it to the world. Chiron in conjunction with this moon can indicate carrying a sensitivity out into the world. And Chiron's transiting the first house as well can make us kind of feel like an outsider and we don't belong. Particularly around the first house, Chiron can make us that. Or we can feel very different, or we can be projecting out into the environment that, or we can stand out and becoming in our own personal environments and around others that where there's something's changed and something's different about us. But having Chiron in his house too is also a good time to separate from the herd and use the Aries energy in the true spirit of independence to understand really the virtue of selfishness and going after what you want. Taurus rising will be having this new moon in the 12th house. This new moon will suggest taking a pause and reflecting, particularly on relationships. As Mars rules your 7th house, right? Because we've got Scorpio on the ascendant. Mars rules Aries and Scorpio. And for Taurus rising, Scorpio is going to be in the 7th house. So relationships can be on pause, or you can be taking your time and setting new intentions around being clear about what you really want out of them. This can be a time of spiritual new beginnings and a good time to rest and recuperate your energies. Dreams and intuitions can give you clues and clarity about your goals. A good time to examine your psyche and reflect on what shadow aspects need to be sanitized. So there can be lots of healing in solitude over the next 6 months. It will take place and you'll see the benefits around, obviously 6 months later, the next full moon in Aries. But your drive and libido can be more internalized at this time. Gemini rising will be having this new moon in the 11th house. This new moon is going to amp up your social life and any dreams that you want to manifest in the next 6 months. You'll be focusing on making them come true, bringing them into reality. It's a good time to write your dreams down with the planet Saturn in this house, as it will help bring your dreams into reality, right? Saturn's a reality principle. So whatever it is you want to bring into the world, when you write it down, it brings it into reality, makes it practical. Your drive to make new connections and put yourself out there will be intensified. It's a good time to connect with people who share the same vision in what you want to create. The planet Mars is connected to your 6th house, the house of work, health, and daily routines. So you may find you start working out and exercising with groups of people, or wanting to connect with active people to reach your fitness goals. Groups and group work will become part of your daily routine over the next 6 months. Cancer rising will be having this new moon in the 10th house. So of course the moon is lord of your chart, so extra importance on lunar transits, lunar returns and lunar eclipses you guys want to pay attention to. So at this point in time, your drive and will to succeed will be greatly enhanced with Mars in this house. The Saturn-Mars conjunction may cause frustrations with work projects, and it may seem to take longer to complete. If you have been honestly working hard, particularly at this time, and not taking shortcuts, then Saturn in the 10th, with Saturn in the 10th, the rewards can really come if you've been putting the honest time and energy into it. The Mars energy is playing out through the 5th house, giving the will and drive to create something new. Having Chiron conjunct the moon in the 10th can make you feel like an outsider in the workplace and can make you feel vulnerable to being seen in the workplace. So if there's any issues around that, then it's time to work on those kind of things. If this is the case, then there's a good chance for growth professionally, especially with the planet Saturn in this house. Leo rising will be having this new moon in the 9th house. This new moon conjunct Chiron the ninth can indicate healing your beliefs. You may be setting intentions around travel, further education, or going back and completing some higher education. Mars rules your fourth, which can indicate intentions to move out of home, feelings of being trapped at home, so planning a vacation. The philosophical beliefs are all being activated at this time with the Pluto-Mars conjunction. This can indicate wanting to discipline the mind to learn something new. With Mars here, patience will be required in learning and education. With the Mercury-Neptune conjunction in his house, there may be more focus on spiritual subjects that require more intuitive understanding. For those who have been writing books, this can be a good time over the next 6 months to organize publications. Virgo rising will be having this new moon in the 8th house. The 8th house is about transformation and Aries is the sign of the self, right? So this can be transformation of self. Intentions can be set around psychological shedding. And what is it? What are your goals around clearing your own psychological programs or issues that you've been having? This is a good time to set intentions around that. So good time to really focus on getting to be clear about what you want to shed psychologically. Mercury and Mars in this house will suggest communications with others on what needs to be changed. There can be deep conversations that can come up at this time. There can be conversations around joint resources and financial ties with others. You can set intentions around doing research and financial planning with joint investments with others. Significant changes on the way with all these planets in the 8th house, and it'll be a good time to embrace it. That's what I'll say with this. You guys are going to have a pretty a deep time here with the Virgo rising here with all the Aries energy in the 8th. Libra rising will be having this new moon in the 7th house. This will be about setting new intentions around relationships that being professional and intimate. When Mars is in the 7th, it can certainly fire things up between partners. So you can either kind of exercise together or argue. It's a good time to move energy when you're together. There can be a chance of miscommunication at this time as Mercury is conjunct Neptune. So make sure you get as clear as possible when it comes to communicating. Mars will play out through the 2nd house, the house of finances, so it's a good time to set financial goals and discuss with your partner what you would like to manifest over the next 6 months with your own financial goals. With Mars and Saturn in the 7th as well, house issues within your relationship will be taken seriously and need to be confronted, right? So with Mars and Saturn in the 7th house, relationship issues really need to be taken to the forefront and taken seriously. So it's a good time not to suppress the energy and really get it out there as best you can. And Mars will give you the impulse to want to do that as well, but Saturn could make you want to hold back from addressing issues as well. So it's kind of a fine line. But there's also the moon is conjunct Chiron in this house as well. So any wounds that need within your relationship that need to be healed will really need to be addressed, and there's a good chance for them to be healed over the next 6 months. Scorpio rising will be having this new moon in the 6th house. New intentions will be set around work, daily habits, health, and routines. Mars being the lord of the chart and Mars in the 6th can indicate that you're working hard at the present time. So your daily schedule can get extremely busy at this time. So there can be burdens that can be placed, particularly in the conjunction with Saturn. So you may find yourself working really hard with the Saturn-Mars conjunction, and sometimes you can have nothing to show for it as well. So you feel like you're butting your head against a brick wall. And the Mars-Saturn conjunction also can indicate bringing a structural exercise routine to help with your daily habits as well. It's a good time with the 6th house is about health, so it's a really good time to move the body. Health issues can potentially arise with Saturn and Mars in the 6th, particularly cold, fevers and flus. So really dose up on good mineral sources for that. And cell salts, obviously Kali myrrh and ferrum phos are really good for the first stage of flus. Guys, check out my cell salt astrology and all that kind of stuff. It's all connected, so it's a good time. Just, I think with Mars in the 6th, you can focus on your health for the next 6 months. Strive for better life balance, because Mars in the 6th, you can actually end up being prone to burnout, so you need to be careful of that. Sagittarius rising will be having this new moon in the 5th house, so new intentions can be set around children's creative projects, romance and hobbies. The planet Mars ruling the 12th can indicate working on a creative project behind the scenes which you're extremely motivated about. If you have children, it can be a time to focus your energies on them, especially with the Saturn in the 5th. So children may require extra discipline at this time. In the conjunction with Mars, they could be going through some frustrations. So there can be a lot of issues that may need to be addressed around children if you have them. There can be a lot of emphasis on dating at this time. And for those who are single, that Aries energy will get you motivated enough to put yourself out there. And in connection with the 12th, you may end up meeting someone possibly in a foreign land or on a spiritual retreat of some kind. Capricorn rising will be having this new moon in the 4th house. This indicates an action-packed new moon in the home territory. Mars is where we battle and where we put our energy. So this can be a busy time for setting new intentions for renovating your house or anything you need to be done around the home. With the planet Mars playing out through the 11th, you may be planning social events and celebrations in the home over the next 6 months. Relocations are possible, or at least being planned. This can be a time to want to plan and spend more time with the family. Emotional healing can also take place during this new moon, as Chiron is conjunct the Sun and Moon, indicating opportunities to heal father and mother wounds. And healing these wounds can create a feeling of safety and security within oneself. Aquarius rising will be having this new moon in the 3rd house. Curiosity can be aroused under this new moon as the 3rd house stimulates the mind. There can be new intentions to do with short-term learning, such as projects to further enhance one's skills, to further one's career, as Mars is playing out through the 10th house of career. So your communication will be more direct under this new moon with siblings, neighbors, and in the work environment. The Mercury-Saturn conjunction can indicate disciplined communication, which can help control the fire of Mars at the moment, which is a good balance. So, discipline the tongue is a good thing to risk offending people. Mars in the 3rd can also make you driven to learn, and in conjunction with Mercury here, there could be opportunities to speak in the local communities, because the 3rd house does rule local communities and neighborhoods. Chiron in conjunction with this new moon can indicate healing conversations to do with siblings. And I just say too, the 3rd house rules short travels around town, so watch around for speeding at this time, particularly with Mars in the 3rd and all that Aries energy. You might get caught out. Pisces will be having this new moon in the 2nd house. This is your money manifestation moon, and a great time for a financial reassess your financial goals. The Saturn-Mars conjunction will balance the Mars impulse to spend impulsively and help tighten the purse strings. So with Saturn in this house, you probably be more mindful of spending. You probably get the impulse to really spend because of Mars there. It's giving you that fighter, and then Saturn will hold you back. Budgeting can be a good time at this time as well with Saturn in the 2nd house. Mars actually rules your 9th house of travel, legal matters, and higher education. So finances and savings can be directed towards these areas. With the planet Mercury in the 2nd ruling the 7th, can be discussions with your partners, professional and intimate, about finances. And with Neptune conjunct Mercury, be mindful of tricksters when it comes to investing, and make sure you're clear about signing contracts or anything. Make sure that you're not going to get shafted by any kind of financial planners or advisors at this time. And so that's it, guys. This is my rundown on the moon. And embrace this Aryan energy. It is going to be very, very stimulating.